It's a rough one. There are a lot of wrestlers that have come out, and years ago there was that famous lawsuit against WWE about the concussions and all this type of stuff. Uh, I was studying to be in healthcare when I first became a pro wrestler. I was going to school to be the physical therapist during ECW, and I was a physical therapist when I got involved in WCW. That being said, you don't need to be a physical therapist and you don't need to be a healthcare worker to know that probably getting whacked in the noggin with a chair shot was bad for you. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest. So years ago, we had all these guys coming forward saying that they were forced to do that. That's all BS. As a wrestler, as first of all, as any intelligent person knows, getting bludgeoned in the head with an object is not good for you. That being said, at that time, it was a fashionable thing to do. It's what the audience liked. It what was getting over, and ECW was very popular, and the ECW style was eventually emulated by WCW and WWE, and that was something at the time that was over. Fans liked it. They popped for it. They talked about it. And that was just, I hate that it's a cliche thing to say. It was a sign of the times. So when I look back, if I could change it, would I? I probably would, or at least put my hand up like I do now. But I'm not going to come out and say we didn't know what we were doing. You got to be. That's an idiot thing to say. Any common person knows getting bludgeoned in the head with a hard object is not good for you. But let's go back to the match. So one of my favorite matches growing up was the New York Knockout I Quit match, Ric Flair versus Terry Funk. It really sucked me into more what I would call adult style wrestling. I grew up on the East Coast. We saw mostly WWE on cable. We saw some of the with the Southern wrestling and all that. But I remember watching that Flair versus Funk. I'm like, wow, these guys are awesome. This Terry Funk guy is nuts, and he's awesome. So I became a gigantic fan of Terry Funk and Ric Flair through that match, but Terry Funk especially. And then if you were to tell a teenage Chris Ford that one day on the last Starrcade, which is, for the people that don't know, WCW's version of WrestleMania, that I would wrestle Terry Funk in a title match, I would, no friggin' way. What are you, nuts? Off the radar and unattainable goal. So just the fact that I got to do that, it was such a huge blessing. I'm so grateful for it. And it was just a great, great time. In hindsight, if I could take back some of those chair shots to the head, I probably would. But at that time, not me or anybody else was thinking of that. It was just something that was done in pro wrestling. It was part of the pro wrestling game. In football, the helmets evolve, the rules evolve, and in other sports, gear and protective equipment evolve, and wrestling has evolved, thankfully, away from that. But that's just the way it was. And again, and I don't mean to beat a dead horse. You don't have to be a healthcare provider. You don't need to be a physical therapist. You don't need to be a neurosurgeon or a general doctor to know that being whacked in the head is not good for you. We just did it. The crowd loved it. We did it in an attempt to get our characters over. We were independent contractors doing something that we thought would help our career, and anybody that says otherwise is full of garbage.
Yeah,